Hi, I'm Shriyar Shah, completed mechanical engineering from Vemana Institute of Technology, Bangalore. I'm going to give a presentation on propulsion system design. First, what is propulsion? This propulsion word was derived from Latin word which means that before or forward. And propulsion or peller is nothing but to drive. So propulsion is nothing but to drive an object or push forward an object. So what is meant by propulsion system? Propulsion system is a mechanical system that produces thrust to drive or push forward an object. So basic science involved in this propulsion system are: first, laws of motion, then thermodynamic laws, then principles and laws of aerodynamics, then material science. These things are material science and mechanical science used for manufacturing purpose, and these laws of motion, thermodynamics and these aerodynamics are the basis for the design of the actual propulsion system. I told a word thrust. It produces thrust and drives the object. So let's see what is meant by that thrust. All the aircraft engines work by producing thrust. This thrust is produced by this propulsion system. So this propulsion system is based on the applications of Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every reaction there is always an equal and opposite reaction. However, Newton's second law is conceptual basis for propulsive force of all the vehicles. Newton's second law states that F is equal to ma, that is nothing but acceleration, body accelerate when a force on the body is applied. So it's the conceptual basis actually, Newton's second law, but Newton's third law is the actual basic principle for the propulsion system. Let's see how actually this propulsion system creates thrust. Consider this structure, flight. When in order to create the thrust, the fluid flowing in the direction opposite to that of the aircraft flight motion, a force is applied in order to make that fluid to flow in the opposite direction. This force can be applied by using propulsion system. So when force is applied by the propulsion system, according to Newton's third law, an equal and opposite force is also applied by the fluid, which in turn accelerates the propulsion system. There's nothing but the aircraft which is attached to it. So this is the basis for actual propulsion system, how it works. Actually, this thrust is created by this propulsion system. You can see that here this is a flight and this is the lift created by the wings because of this weight, and this is the thrust by the propeller, and this is the drag due to air resistance. So general thrust generation equation is actually created by due to change in velocity with respect to the mass flow. This can be derived by F is equal to dmt divided by dt, that is equal to d of that is differential of me. When you differentiate it, we finally get the general thrust equation, that F is equal to m dot into dv. That is, here dv is the change in velocity and m dot is the mass flow rate of the air. So thrust is generated with a small change in velocity with respect to the mass flow rate. Coming to the regarding history of this flights or propulsion system, during 13th AD, man who created his rocket. He created the rocket. That's actually not available how he created, but somebody says like that he created it with his chair. He created below that he created the rockets. Because of that he got the propulsion and he moved up. During 15th AD, Da Vinci wing concept. Da Vinci gave a wing concept, the flange wing concept he gave. Then in the year 1629, Branca's jet turbine. This is a very important invention. He created a jet turbine. Then 1687, Newton's steam wagon. So in the year 1687, he gave the Newton's law of motion also, and he created Newton's steam wagon. It basically works on the Newton's third law and the second law. Then in the year 1791, Barbers created chain-driven compressor plus turbine for jet propulsion. So for jet propulsion, he used compressor and turbine. Now this principle is used for the propulsion, jet propulsion actually. In the year 1903, actual first flight was created by Wright brothers, but the actual Wright brothers and he combined with the Taylor, his name is called Taylor. He created the engine for this propulsion thing. So that was a brief about history how this propulsion system came to existence. And till World War II, they were after creation of this first flight till World War II, they were using propeller as the one of the main component for creating propulsion. After World War II, they started using other engines like turbine, jet engines, and the ramjets for creation of the propulsive force. So let's see what are the different propulsion system. Important propulsion system are the propeller, the turbine or jet engine, the ramjets. First, let's see propeller. So what is propeller? Propeller is an interface between aircraft and an engine. It produces thrust with a small change of velocity with respect to the relative large mass airflow, that is thrust is given as m dot into V minus Vc. Actually this propeller, it produces thrust as its shape of the blade is in the shape of the airfoil. So when it is rotated, it produces the lift force same as like wing when it is rotated in the air. So we can see that shape of this is actually aerofoil, and the shape of the blades of the propeller also like this only, so it produces the thrust. So this produces thrust because of the pressure difference, that is lower pressure on the upper side of the aerofoil and the high pressure on the lower side. Because of this pressure difference, this propeller creates the thrust. This is a actual engine. Here you can see the propeller, so created by actually GE for NASA. These are the different propellers. It's a actually multi-blade propeller. Here so many number of blades are more, and this we can, then the shape of this is similar to the shape of aerofoil, so it creates the lift, and this lift is created due to this pressure difference, and that's how the propeller creates actually thrust. So it's usually given by thrust by the propeller is given by T net is equal to m dot into V minus Vc. So that was about how the propeller actual basic principle, how it works, how it creates the thrust. Coming to the design of the propeller. Before going to the design, let's see some fundamentals regarding to this propeller. The actual performance of a propeller depends upon the aerodynamics on blade elements. So proper aerodynamics on blade elements, if it is maintained, then it gives high efficiency. First of all, angle of attack. For the blade position should be to a proper angle of attack, and it should be optimized to a proper L/D ratio, that is the lift to drag ratio. It should be very maximum. It is optimized to maximum value. Then rotational speed of the blades, which is given by omega and tau, that is nothing but 2 pi n r. Different blades have different rotational speed, but as they are having same forward velocity, it will be considered as equal. Then this angle of attack is a function of actually geometric pitch angle, which is nothing but the angle between the blade and the rotational direction, and the actual effective pitch angle, that is nothing but angle of attack. See, you can see here that alpha is the angle of attack. It's a function of geometric pitch angle and also effective actual pitch angle. So then what is meant by pitch? Pitch is the forward movement of the propeller due to the one revolution of the blades. So different propellers or the different blades have different pitch, but as all these propellers, you can see that these are combined to one solid body and is having same forward velocity, is considered as equal. Coming to different type of pitch arrangements are there. There are three types of pitch arrangements are there. So first one is fixed pitch arrangement. Second is variable, and pitch for third is constant. So all this pitch arrangement, it's mainly depends upon the geometric pitch, which is nothing but p is equal to 2 pi r tan beta. So it's a function of radius and also the angle beta, that is geometric pitch angle. So what is meant by fixed pitch arrangement is nothing but this geometric pitch is fixed, it cannot be varied. Whereas variable pitch means this geometric pitch can be varied manually by using mechanical systems or any control systems. Whereas constant speed pitch arrangement is nothing but when this actually this geometric pitch varies according to the performance or according to the what is required. This blade this pitch changes according to the requirements. So this constant speed it's an automatic and for all modern propellers they use constant speed pitch arrangement only. So coming to this is the diagram of a propeller blade. See, this is VR is the relative velocity and this is the rotation direction, and there are parallel perpendicular lift and parallel drag forces. Because of that the thrust and the torque are created. This is the forward motion of the propeller and aircraft. This is the chord or zero lift line, and this is air inflow direction. Here L is the lift, D is the drag, and T is thrust, Q is torque, and V infinity is forward velocity. VR is the relative velocity and R is radius. And alpha is important angle of attack. So angle of attack should be maintained for the blade's position should be at the angle of attack only. The position of should be based on the angle of attack. So while designing also angle of attack should be taken into consideration. So this is a blade section geometry, local details and aerodynamic forces created on this. This is actual shape of the blade given by NACA, that is National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. Average profile, this is this plus is nothing but clock Y profile and O is nothing but Göttingen profile. So plotting the values for these two will give the actual shape of the profile. This shape is almost should be similar to the aerofoil shape, so that thrust can be produced easily. So that was about some fundamentals. Before designing, we need to consider all these things. So how actually the aerodynamics, angle of attack, length to lift to drag ratio, all these things are considered. This pitch also very important. Because all the pitch I already defined that it's the forward movement of the propeller for the one revolution of the blade. So different propellers having different pitch, but when it is considered to be a solid body, it's considered as similar. That's why some differences arises, that is geometric pitch and the actual pitch. So that differences arises because of this concept only. Coming to the propeller theories, there are two theories are present, that is momentum theory and the elemental blade theory. These two theories are used for the design, analysis and the performance calculation of the propeller. First, let's see momentum theory. Consider a propeller for modeling. This is the schematic of modeling of a propeller. This also momentum theory is also called as actuator disk theory. Some of the assumptions are made before starting the actual design. The assumptions are this propeller is assumed to be actuator disk, which is nothing but an energizer, and this actuator disk is having very small thickness and it is continuous and it's having this 100% porous. That means it's having no mass, and in the area frontal area A is assumed to be similar to the annular area of the blade, and no resistance, that is no drag or there is no resistance for the movement of the fluid A through the actuator disc. Then axial velocity through the actuator disc is uniform, is considered as uniform. Then fluid is considered as incompressible, and then that is air is considered, then it's considered as incompressible, and it's considered irrotational. Flow is considered irrotation, and flow is considered irrotation only in the front and the behind side, but not in the actual inside. So and static pressure falls from the upstream and falls from the downstream is considered equal to the atmospheric pressure. So these are the assumptions made before modeling the propeller. Let's see the modeling of the propeller. First, mass flow through the disc is calculated. That is m dot is equal to rho A, rho density of the air, A is the frontal area of cross section, V is the velocity. After calculating that mass flow rate, then thrust produced by the disc using the constant of the thrust. Thrust is given by T is equal to m dot into V minus infinity. That is, it's the difference between the upstream and the downstream velocity. Then by common statics, thrust is given as T is equal to A into P2 minus P1. So that is the area with respect to change in the pressure, P2 minus P1. P2 minus P1. And then Bernoulli's equation is applied. Bernoulli's equation is applied on the either side of the either side of the propeller. That is, it cannot be applied at the inside or at the middle of the propeller. So it is applied at the either side, at the one end, at this end and this end. So we get, applying Bernoulli's equation, we get for upstream P infinity plus half rho V infinity square is equal to P1 plus half rho V1 square. That is, actual Bernoulli's equation is P1 by rho G plus V1 square by 2G plus Z. And using this basic Bernoulli's equation, we applied the equation for this upstream. That is P infinity plus 1 by 2 rho V infinity square is equal to P1 plus half rho V1 square. Then at the downstream, P2 plus half rho V2 square is equal to P infinity plus half rho V square. That is for downstream. Then this velocity V1 is equal to V2 is considered as constant, whereas when it is considered as constant, then P2 minus P1 is equal to 1 by 2 rho V square minus V infinity square. So after determining this and applying these conditions, we get V1 is equal to VE plus infinity divided by 2. So from this simple analysis, we can tell that the actual velocity is equal to the mean of the upstream velocity and the downstream velocity. So from this simple analysis, from using this equation, design, performance calculations, analysis of the propellers can be done. And the thrust is given by T is equal to 1 by 2 of rho VE square minus V infinity square into A. This is the thrust. Once thrust is calculated, we can calculate again V1, V infinity. Then we can also calculate the induced velocity, which is required for the induced efficiency. It's given by V is equal to minus of V infinity plus square root of V infinity square minus 2T by rho A. So for static thrust conditions, this V infinity is equal to 0. So we get induced velocity as V is equal to 2T divided by rho A divided by 2. That is nothing but T divided by rho A. So during static condition, this induced velocity is T divided by rho A. That is nothing but thrust to density and the area of cross section. Then power at the takeoff also can be calculated. That is P inlet is equal to T to the power of 3 by 2 square root of 2 rho A. This is how the design is done. So the basic for this design of propeller is V1. This V1 is calculated, and after calculating the V1, all the design parameters, everything can be calculated. So this was about the momentum theory, how this momentum theory is used for the designing of the propeller. Next is blade element theory. Actually, this blade element theory is not used in practice because of its advantages. Using the lift and drag characteristics, here we can see that this blade element theory design is carried out. First, elemental thrust producer is calculated. That is dt is equal to dl cos phi minus dd sin phi. Here we can see that dt and dd. So this is the phi, and this is Vr is the relative velocity. That is dt is equal to dl cos phi minus dd sin phi. That is equal to 1 by 2 rho Vr square. That is the velocity into CdR into C1 cos phi minus CD sin phi. Then torque to be supplied. What is the amount of torque to be supplied to be calculated? That is dq is equal to dl sin phi plus dd cos phi into r. That is equal to 1 by 2 rho Vr square C into dr C1 sin alpha plus CD cos alpha. Here you can see the dl and dd. This is the dl and this is dd. So it depends upon the relative velocity actually. Then this relative velocity from it can be calculated using geometric sign theory. It is opposite to hypotenuse. That is Vr is equal to V infinity to sin phi, and this dynamic head Q is equal to 1 by 2 of V infinity square, that is forward velocity. After calculating Vr and Q, by back substitution we get this elemental substitution dt is equal to QC dr divided by sin square phi into C1 cos phi minus CD sin phi. Then dq elemental torque is equal to Q into CR into dr divided by sin square phi into C1 sin phi plus CD cos phi. So in order to obtain thrust and the torque, these elemental thrust and torque are integrated from 0 to r, that is from the tip to the root to the tip of the blade. We get T is equal to QB into integration over 0 to r C dr divided by sin square phi into C1 cos phi minus CD sin phi. So thrust is finally calculated from first initial condition elemental thrust is calculated, then it's integrated over 0 to r, that is from root to the tip blade. Final thrust is calculated. Then also a torque required is also calculated as Q is equal to QB into 0 to r of CR into dr divided by sin square phi into C1 sin phi plus CD cos phi. So this is the design using blade element theory. Actually propellers are designed using both the theories, but it's mainly designed by using the momentum theory. This theory is not in actual practice. That was about the design of the propeller. Coming to the performance parameters, there are different performance parameters are present on which this propeller analysis is done. First, advance ratio. Advance ratio is nothing but the ratio of forward velocity per unit rotational speed, that is given by J is equal to, it's denoted by J, that is equal to V infinity to ND. Here V infinity is nothing but forward velocity, N is nothing but rotational speed in RPS, and D is the propeller diameter. This D is the propeller diameter in meter. So this J is dependent on V infinity actually. As V infinity increases, this J also increases. Then thrust, torque and power. These are the important parameters for the analysis, thrust, torque and power. And this thrust is given by rho n square d to the power of 4 into Ct, and torque is given by Q is equal to rho n square d to the power of 5 into Cq, and power is given by rho into n cube into d power 5 into Cp. Ct, Cq and Cp are coefficient of torque, thrust and power respectively. So this, on basis of this analysis is done. Coming to the propeller efficiency, that is nothing but power output to power input. That propeller efficiency is equal to T into thrust into forward velocity to the P power, that is equal to T into V infinity divided by 2 pi n cube. Once after propeller efficiency, propeller tip speed. This propeller tip speed is very important while deciding the material for the propeller. This propeller tip speed is given by square root of pi n d the whole square plus E infinity square. So it also depends upon the forward velocity. For the propeller's tip speed, for a common metal, M tip should be in the range of 0.85, whereas for a wooden material it's 0.75. In case of for composite materials, this M tip is greater than 1. So we can use that propeller for supersonic flights also. So usually propeller tips are made up of this composite material, that is carbon, actually carbon fiber, which has having a CM tip of greater than 1, as it's having greater than 1 M tip Mach number, so it can be used for supersonic flights, that is at high speed flights it can be used. Then coming to the ideal efficiency, this ideal efficiency can be calculated by momentum theory, that's given by again power output to power input, that is nothing but the product of thrust into forward velocity divided by thrust into axial flow velocity, that is equal to, simplifying this we get V infinity to half of V infinity plus V, that is the forward velocity and downstream velocity, that finally we get efficiency is equal to, that is ideal efficiency is equal to 1 plus V divided by V infinity. It's also called as induced efficiency. So this induced efficiency, it approaches 0 when V infinity approaches 0, and it approaches infinity when infinity approaches 1. So this was about how the propeller performance parameters. So important performance parameters are thrust, torque, power, and the propeller tip speed. So this propeller tip speed is plays very important role. What is the material to be selected for the designing the propeller? So let's see how it varies efficiency and efficiency versus advance ratio. Here we can see that induced efficiency, it won't come back as that advance ratio is increased, it also increases, and at a particular time it goes to high point and it becomes constant, whereas common efficiency drops down to 0 at a particular point. So induced efficiency we can see, so if we have high advance ratio, then we get good efficiency. That is nothing but if you have good high forward velocity, then the efficiency will be more. Then coming to the propeller thrust and power distribution in the disc, that is the actuator disc. This is the R by R and the CT coefficient of the thrust, CQ coefficient of the torque. This is negative thrust at the root. So torque and the maximum thrust comes down to 0 at the tip. But for the thrust is maximum at a particular point. Both torque and the thrust are maximum at a particular point. Coming to the propeller characteristics, power and the thrust coefficient versus advance ratio, that is J. So this power and this thrust coefficient, that is Cp and Cq. So this dark line shows that all are in the maximum efficiency, whereas light line shows maximum thrust, whereas this small line shows that maximum power. So where we get the maximum power is at this point we get maximum power actually. So advance ratio should be, while designing, advance ratio should be maintained at this point. That is nothing but while designing that forward velocity should be considered, taken care. So that was about the blade element theory and how that performance parameters were analyzed in the design about this propeller. And one main disadvantage of propeller is it cannot be used for high speed flights, supersonic flights, because of when used for supersonic flights, that is having high Mach number, drag is created. Because of that, lift decreases, so it cannot be used. It can be used with some engines, propellers with some engines or jet engines or turbine engines. So that was about propeller. Next, turbine or jet engine. So turbine or a jet engine is a air breathing engines. It's defined. It produces thrust by sucking the atmospheric air inside and exhausting the hot gases out through the nozzle, which is present at the end of the engine. So this turbine or jet engines, mainly principle of this jet engines depend upon the gas turbine cycle, which in turn depends upon Brayton cycle. Brayton cycle, it was given by Brayton in the year 1870. So the main principle behind any turbine or jet engine is the Brayton cycle. Let's see how the process happens in Brayton cycle. This is the PV diagram, TS diagram. P is that is pressure versus volume diagram is temperature versus enthalpy diagram. During in the first process, that is 1 to 2, it's isentropic compression, that is air is compressed in the engine actually. So as the air is compressed, pressure increases. We can see that pressure increases. Then at a constant volume, heat is added. That it is nothing but a combustion chamber. Then in the 3/4 expansion, isentropic expansion, that expansion takes place in the turbine. That is nothing but power is produced here. Then after that, this exhaust gas out, that is heat is rejected at a constant volume. So this is the actual process of a Brayton cycle. Actually, it is a closed cycle. And then in the TS diagram also you can see these two are isobaric process, that is at constant pressure. Then here temperature increases in the first as compression, due to compression temperature increases, and here constant heat addition and heat rejection. Here power is produced. So this is the basis for turbine or jet engine. Coming to the energy balance equation, Q in minus Q out plus W, the work in and the work out is equal to delta H. Using this formula, we can calculate the work output. Once work output is calculated, then we can calculate the thermal efficiency, that is nothing but W net to Q in. Then also we can calculate the Q out by using the formula H4 minus H1 is equal to Cp of T4 minus 1. Then Q in is equal to H3 minus H2, that is equal to Cp into T3 minus T2. So this efficiency, this is simplified formula of this thermal efficiency, that is equal to 1 minus 1 by Rp to the power of gamma minus 1 divided by gamma, that is gamma is nothing but specific ratio. Then Rp is equal to pressure ratio, that is P2 by P1. So using, if you know the pressure ratio P2 and if inlet P1 and P2 is known, then thermal efficiency can be calculated. So let's see how actually thrust is created in jet engines, or what is the generalized thrust equation for a jet engine. This is a gas turbine based turbojet engine. It consists of the part like compressor, combustion chamber, turbine and ethane nozzle. So from this diagram we can see the mechanism of creation of thrust. As the air, this is the motion of the flight. When the air is moved this side using propulsion system, and force is applied, and equal and opposite force is also applied by the fluid, hence thrust is created. This is the forward thrust, this is the reward thrust. See, we can see here that this is the compressor, combustion chamber, turbine, nozzle. So when it goes out, hot gases, thrust is produced. So this is the mechanism of creation of thrust. Let's see how actually this thrust equation is derived, or what are the design criteria for this thrust equation, how it is calculated. Consider thrust producer in the control surface. This reaction producer is transmitted to the support. Hence, the actual summation of forces acting on the surface area is the summation of the forces acting on the surface area. That is given as integral over cross control surface into the velocity at the inlet velocity, rho into rotational speed into dA, small elemental area is considered. Particularly in x direction is given as u of x into rho, u into n into dA. But here pressure and velocity is considered over constant over this control surface, but it's not constant over the exhaust area. So net pressure force on the control volume at the exhaust area is given by Pm minus P into Ae, and the force or the reaction acting here is only the reaction force, that is thrust. That is summation of this Fx gives Pm minus P into Ae, this one plus thrust. After calculating this, then mass flow rate at the inlet is calculated, that is at the capture area, that is nothing but rho u into Ai. Ai is the capture area. Then at the exhaust area also calculated, that is rho e u into Ae, that is the exhaust area. Ae is the exhaust area. Once these two are calculated, then another balance equation, energy balance continuity equation applied for the control volume. So once this equation shows the application of that. Rho u e Ae plus rho u of A minus Ae plus ms, nothing but the surface mass flow rate at the surface minus ms fuel ratio minus rho u A is equal to 0. This can be, so finally we get ms is equal to rho u of ae minus ai. Then momentum balance equation is applied. So application of this momentum balance equation gives the flux towards the x direction, that is nothing but integral over the control surface ux into rho u into n into dA is equal to me into ue minus ma into u. So finally we get flux towards in the x direction. Once the flux in the x direction is obtained, then we can obtain the force balance equation. This is important. Once after obtaining this, force balance equation is applied in order to get the thrust, that is nothing but the reaction, that is equal to me into ue, that is at the exist velocity ue or exhaust velocity, ma into u plus pe minus pa into ae. So if F is fuel ratio is given, that is mf to ma, then the thrust is equal to ma into 1 plus f into ue minus u plus pe minus pa of ae. So this is the generalized thrust equation for all the air breathing engines. So for any air breathing engine, generalized thrust equation is ma into, that is mass flow rate at the inlet or at the capture area, plus 1 plus fuel ratio f into exist velocity minus velocity at the inlet plus the net force or the pressure force acting at the exhaust area, that is P minus PA into A. So this equation is the generalized thrust equation for any air breathing engines. Depending upon this, design of the air breathing engine is calculated or it's designed. Coming to the actual design of the air breathing or turbine or jet engine, here I consider a simple turbojet engine. Parts in this are diffuser, compressor, combustion chamber, turbine and nozzle. So let's see, this is, I already told that it works on the principle of Brayton cycle. Let's see how actually this process takes. In the region A to 1, actually air from the outside atmosphere is drawn here. It may be having high velocity or low velocity. Then it is passed into the diffuser, that is in the region 1 to, here velocity of the air is decreased, then in the region 2 to 3 it comes to the compressor. In the compressor the air is compressed, so pressure increases. Then in the region 3-4, that is in the combustion chamber, combustion of air with fuel is done here. In the 4 to 5, this high pressure air is expanded in order to produce the power. Here power is produced in this region, in the 4 to 5 region. Then 5 to 6 region is a afterburner stage. Here you can again increase the heat depending upon the requirements of the where it is this design is used. And in the 6 to 7 is a nozzle region where exhaust gases are pulled out. This is a schematic turbojet engine, and this is the station numbering scheme. So these station number schemes are followed strictly. Coming to the design, in design actually we know first Mach number, inlet Mach number, then pressure, inlet pressure and the inlet temperature. These things will be known. So our aim is to calculate the exist temperature and pressure at the inlet, which is nothing but the inlet to the compressor. So exist temperature and pressure at the compressor and the exist pressure and temperature at the turbine and also nozzle. So design is nothing but to calculate these things. Let's see one by one. Exit temperature and pressure at the inlet can be calculated using the formula T02, that is here, equal to Ta into 1 plus gamma minus 1 divided by 2 into m square. Using this formula, T0, that is Ta is nothing but ambient temperature or the room temperature, that is atmospheric temperature actually. So we will be knowing these things, m will be also known, so T02 can be calculated. Once T02 is calculated, that is the exist temperature at the inlet is calculated, we can calculate the pressure at that point, that is equal to Pa, that is the ambient pressure, to T02 Ta to the power of gamma divided by gamma minus 1. So using first T02 should be calculated. After calculating T02, P02 is calculated. Once these things are calculated, T02 and P02, then exist temperature and pressure at the compressor can be calculated. Here, this point. and its compressor P03 is equal to pi c into P02. This pi c is nothing but the pressure ratio, which is nothing but it can be P3 by P2 or P2 by P3. Then once this P03 is calculated, then T03 can also be calculated. That is T03 is equal to T02 of pi c into gamma minus 1 divided by gamma. After calculating the inlet exit temperature at the compressor, then in the combustion chamber we can calculate the fuel ratio, and that can be calculated using formula F is equal to T04 divided by T03 minus 1 divided by QR divided by Cp into T03 minus T04 divided by T03. Using this formula we can calculate the fuel air ratio. Then coming to turbine, work done by the turbine should be equal to the work done by the compressor. So we can calculate the P05 or the pressure at the exit of the turbine can be calculated. So in equating that work done by the turbine and the work done by the compressor, we'll get T05 is equal to T04 minus T03 minus T02 divided by 1 plus F. So F is, so in order to calculate the turbine work done by the turbine, this combustion this F is to be calculated. So while designing, these steps only has to be followed, then only proper design can be done. So using this formula T05 is calculated. Once T05 is calculated, then pressure at that point also can be calculated in the formula P04 to the into T05 divided by T04 to the power of gamma divided by gamma minus 1. So this is the actual procedure for the design. After that, at the nozzle also exist temperature at the nozzle also calculated. The inlet, that is nothing but T06 is equal to T05, that is the exit temperature at the turbine is nothing but the afterburner is nothing but the inlet at the nozzle, and same pressure and at the nozzle kinetic energy is calculated. Kinetic energy is nothing but here UE is calculated, that is exit velocity is calculated at the nozzle. Here with no afterburner is, hence is called as a primary nozzle. So this exit velocity is nothing but root of 2Cp into T06 into 1 minus Pa divided by P06, that is Pa is ambient pressure again and P0 is the pressure at the inlet of the nozzle to the power of gamma minus 1 divided by gamma. So finally this is calculated. So this is the design procedure for a simple turbojet engine. So this is the procedure usually done for all the actually design of this. This is the common procedure. So this is how the procedure for the turbojet engine is carried out. Next, coming to the ideal turbofan engine, it's also air breathing engine. Here this is a schematic of an unmixed turbofan engine and stationary numbering scheme, and this is a different configuration like 2 fin spool, 3 spool, or with a gear turbo. So what is the actual procedure in ideal turbo? It's similar to the common turbojet engine, but only thing is addition is here fan is present, so which again increases the pressure. Let's see how actually the process goes. It's also based on the principle of Brayton cycle. Again in the A1 region, that is in the A1 region, air is taken from the outside of then 1 to 2 dash. The 1 to 2 dash, it is this is deaccelerated in the diffuser. Then 2 to 3 dash is nothing but it's a fan where air is compressed or the pressure is increased, and again in the compressor, that is after 2 to 3 dash, 3 dash to 2 compressor, here again pressure is increased in the compressor. Once and 3 dash, then again 2 to 3 is nothing but a compressor. Here 2 to 3 is compressor. Then 3 to 4 is again combustion chamber, where combustion of the air with the fuel takes place. Then 4 to 5 where expansion of this high pressure air is carried out. Then this is done by the turbine. Then 5 to 6 is the afterburning region. What is this afterburner? Is actually it is used whenever high thrust is required. This can be used whenever high thrust is required and it's not having any rotating parts. Hence the air coming out of the air fuel mixture coming out of the turbine have high values than the common stoichiometric values. Hence it can be, as it is not having, afterburner is not having any rotating parts, the temperature can be increased to a high value. So that is the main, when temperature increases to a high value we get exhaust nozzle, so we get high thrust. So when high thrust is required, then only afterburners are used. This is a primary nozzle in the 6 to 7 engine that the exhaust gases comes out, and this secondary nozzle, when afterburner is used, secondary nozzle comes into place. That is the exhaust gases which are bypassed through the engine core passed through this secondary nozzle. So this is the actual process in an ideal turbofan engine, and the design of this ideal turbofan engine is similar to the design of the turbojet engine, but it changes in the turbine as when two nozzles are, as fan and compressor are present in this. Two turbines are present. That high pressure turbine which is used to drive for the compressor, whereas the low pressure turbine is used to drive the fan. Let's see the design of this ideal turbofan engine. Here also we need to calculate the exit velocity, exit temperature and pressure. So we will be knowing inlet, that is ambient or the atmospheric temperature, atmospheric pressure and inlet Mach number. We will be knowing these three. So we need to calculate at the inlet exit temperature, that is calculated using the formula T02 is equal to dash equal to TA of 1 plus gamma minus 1 divided by 2 into m square, and P02 dash is equal to PA into T02 divided by TA to the power of gamma divided by gamma minus 1. And coming to fan, here is, so the difference between this design and this design is here fan is to be designed. So at the fan, what is the pressure and the temperature is to be calculated. That can be calculated using formula P03 dash is equal to pi f into P02. Pi f is nothing but the pressure ratio, that is nothing but P03 dash to P02 dash. And once this is calculated, T03 dash can be calculated as T03 dash is equal to T02 dash into pi f of gamma minus 1 divided by gamma. After that, at the compressor is calculated pressure and the temperature, that is P03 is equal to pi c into P02 and T03 is equal to T02 of pi c into gamma minus 1 divided by gamma. Gamma will also be known. Then coming to combustion chamber, is similar to the turbojet engine. Here also fuel ratio is calculated, that nothing but T04 to T03 minus 1 to QR divided by Cp of T03 minus T4 divided by T03. Then coming to the design of the turbine, I already told that two turbines are present here, that is high pressure turbine and low pressure turbine, and this ideal turbofan is its configuration is assumed to be a twin spool, as it's having two types of turbines. Here work done by the turbine is equal to work done by the compressor for high pressure turbine, whereas for low pressure turbine work done by the turbine is equal to work done by the fan. Using this relation we can calculate the pressure and temperature in the turbine, that is high pressure turbine, that is work done by the turbine is equal to MT Cp into C04 minus T05, that is equal to MAH of P into T03 minus T02. Finally we get T05 dash. So once this is obtained, then we can obtain pressure at that point. That is equal to P05 dash is equal to P04 of T05 dash divided by T04 to the power of gamma divided by gamma minus 1. Coming to the low pressure turbine, which is used to drive the fan, work done by the low pressure turbine is nothing but work done by the fan. So equating these two equations, we can get to obtain the T05 and P05. First T05 is obtained, after that P05 is calculated. Then coming to the design of primary nozzle. Primary nozzle is designed in the similar way as in case of the turbojet engine. So using this formula only primary nozzle is designed. But in case of secondary nozzle, again exit velocity at the secondary nozzle calculated is the formula UEF is equal to square root of 2Cp into T03 dash into 1 minus PA by P03 to the power of gamma minus 1 divided by gamma. So finally this nozzle is designed. This is the actual design for a common turbojet engine, simple turbojet engine, and for an ideal turbofan engine. Next we will see the performance analysis. Then performance analysis for this simple turbojet engine. Performance analysis is nothing but what is the efficiencies, thrust, TSFC, efficiency, thermal efficiencies, TSFC, that is thrust fuel specific fuel consumption, SF specific fuel consumption, BSFC, that is brake specific fuel consumptions. All these things are calculated. First, let's see what is the flow capacity. That is flow capacity at the inlet. That is nothing but W is equal to rho AV. This can be calculated in the formula W into root of Tt. That is Tt is nothing but total temperature to product of the Pd into AE. That is nothing but total pressure and the effective area, which is equal to Mach number into square root of Gc into gamma divided by R. Gc is nothing but the gravitational constant and gamma ratio of specific heat and R gas constant. To 1 plus gamma minus 1 divided by 2 into m square and to the power of gamma plus 1 divided by 2 into gamma minus 1. Here you will be knowing all these things, then this flow capacity can be calculated. Then coming to the compressor, efficiency of the compressor is nothing but ideal work to actual work. So that is nothing but P exit to P inlet to the power of gamma minus 1 divided by gamma minus 1 to T exit by T inlet minus 1. And TSFC is nothing but that is thrust specific fuel consumption is given by m dot F divided by thrust. This is the TSFC formula. And coming in the combustor, what is the combustion efficiency? That is nothing but actual enthalpy rise to the ideal enthalpy rise. So what is the actual enthalpy rise in the combustion to the common experimental enthalpy rise? That is nothing but it can be calculated in the formula. It's equal to WF plus W into Cp of Tex, that is exit temperature, minus W into specific CPC into T inlet temperature divided by WF into FHV. FHV is nothing but fuel heating value, whereas WF is nothing but fuel flow. Coming to the performance analysis at the turbine, efficiency of the turbine again is nothing but actual work to ideal work. So it can be calculated in the formula 1 minus TE divided by TI. Actually it's a simplified formula to 1 minus PE by PI to the power of gamma minus 1 divided by gamma. So coming to the performance analysis at the nozzle, TT divided by TS is equal to PT divided by PS 1 to the power of gamma minus 1 divided by gamma. Using this formula, we can calculate the TS, the stagnation temperature, that is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 divided by 2 into m square. So this was about the analysis and design of a turbine or the jet engine. So I briefly tell what is that jet engine. Mainly we need to calculate the exit temperature and pressure at the inlet, exit temperature and pressure at the compressor, and the fuel ratio. Once fuel ratio is calculated, then we can combine work done by turbine is called work done by compressor. Then we can calculate P05, that is exit temperature turbine, and is calculated. Then also velocity at the nozzle can be calculated. This is the design procedure for simple turbojet engine, and the same procedure is also followed for the ideal turbofan engine, where in ideal turbofan engine extra fan and high pressure and low pressure turbines are also designed. This was about the design and the performance analysis of turbojet engines. Coming to the ramjets, these are also designed in a similar way to the turbojet engine. These ramjet, this is schematic diagram of the ramjet engine. Here you can see that it consists of a combustor, nozzle and a diffuser. These are the simple the air breathing engines. Construction of these ramjets are very easy, and it also follows the Brayton cycle. It is used for, actually ramjets are used for high supersonic speed, that is having Mach number greater than 1. It is usually used for that. Here compressor is not present because when a supersonic air comes into the this diffuser, it is deaccelerated to a subsonic speed. Hence the compression, hence the pressure and temperature increases. That's why this compressor is not required. But in that static condition, it cannot produce thrust. So always ramjets are operated at a particular speed, so that it can create its own thrust. It also consists of exhaust nozzle where hot gases goes out. Coming to the process, how here first intake diffuser, in the diffuser again it is deaccelerated, air is deaccelerated, then in the combustion chamber because of the ram compression, pressure and temperature increases and the combustion takes place. After that, in the exhaust nozzle the hot gases comes out and it produces the thrust. So it also follows the Brayton cycle. Actually it's a Brayton-Joule cycle. So this is a TS diagram for ideal ramjet engines. Here A2 is nothing but isentropic compression at the intake, isentropic compression that takes place at the intake, and at the 2-4 that is combustion at constant pressure. At constant pressure combustion takes place, which means that temperature increases, and so and 4 to 7 is nothing but isotropic expansion through the nozzle, that is power is produced. In case of ramjet, turbine is not present, but power is produced by the forward momentum of this fluid. That is whatever the fluid is used for this ramjet, the momentum of that produces the power. So in this point, in this region, 4 to 7 region, this expansion takes place. So here power is produced. 7 to 8 is nothing but again constant. Here at constant pressure, heat is rejected. This is a principle behind the ramjet. Other than turbojet, the design is similar for a ramjet also, like turbine turbojet engine. Here specific thrust is calculated, which is given by the formula F divided by m dot, which is equal to VA into m bar of VE by VA minus 1 plus AE by A1, that is the exit area to inlet area, into PA divided by rho A into VA into PE divided by PA minus 1. So here m bar is nothing but 1 plus F, that is 1 plus fuel to air ratio, A1 area of flow at entry and exit, PAP are ambient and exit pressure. This was about the ramjet, how it actually works, and the design procedure is same as the turbojet engine. This is the actual ramjet cycle diagram. This is pressure loss in compression compared to the common. If compressor is used, we will get about till here temperature and pressure can be increased, but here no compressor or the turbine is present, so we will get up to here. This is the ideal cycle actually, and this is the real cycle. 1, 0, 2, 3, 4. 1 to this one represent ideal cycle, actually real cycle, whereas 1, 0, 2 dash, 3 dash, 4 dash represent the ideal cycle. From this graph you can see that specific impulse and for the Mach number versus Mach number. So for the Mach number greater than 5, we here ramjets, cramjets, and these are you can see here. That is mainly these ramjets are used at the cruising conditions. That is at the supersonic speed. ISP is nothing but specific impulse, and hydrogen fuel here hydrogen fuel is considered. So from this graph you can conclude that at a high Mach number we get a good specific impulse, that is number 4 thrust. So ramjets are used for that high Mach number. Coming if a Mach number if it is greater than 5, then this ramjet is called as standard as supersonic ramjet. The schematic, this is the schematic diagram of this ramjet. This is inlet body, fuel injections, nozzle. This is supersonic combustion chamber, and instead of this again and some isolator is added so that to decrease that supersonic speed to a particular speed in order to get the proper velocity. This was about this ramjet. It was about the ramjet. I already told that design of ramjets is similar to the design of the turbojet engine, and performance analysis and experimental calculations also similar to that. Next, coming to the industry standards and practices. All the industries or companies has to maintain the standards while designing AS9100. That's the quality management system for aerospace industries. Actually, inlet for these things are they give some quality management principles according to which the design has to be carried out. This was created by the input given by Lockheed, Rolls-Royce, General Electric aircraft engines. According to input given by them, this AS9100 established, which is written for the quality management of aerospace industries. Also, FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, is also given some rules and standards for the maintaining the design of the aerospace industries. And IQAG, that is International Quality Aerospace Group, also giving some standards and what are the different practices have to be maintained while designing any propulsion system or any nozzle. Coming to the procedures, what the companies has to follow is first design phase. Once design phase, then design verification. After design verification, design validation should be done. Finally, quality check. So this is the procedure actually should be followed by all the companies. First design phase, and the design phase actual design is done, and after once the design is done, then verification of the design has to be carried out. Once the verification has to be carried out, then it should be validated from a particular group according to AS9100. After having completely designed, then quality of that design has to be checked. This is the company actually standard or the policies they have to maintain. So according to AS9100, this is the according to this standard only you have to design. For example, while designing a turbojet engine, intake temperature, pressure, and Mach number, these things are to be they are to taken from a standard procedure. The values for this T1, it is ambient temperature and pressure, Mach number, are taken according to the this standard. So, and the design has to be done according to these phases only. So, and in case of ramjet also, how that isolator base should be present, and what is the how that Mach number should be maintained, and what to Mach number should be decreased. All those things are to be maintained. Coming to the tools for this design and analysis are some of the CAD tools like mainly CATIA is used for the design of all the propulsion system, but help of SolidWorks and Unigraph can also be taken. For analysis purpose, Hypermesh, Nastran pattern, and CFD are used. CFD used mainly for the performance calculations, so that what is the amount of drag produced. For all those things, CFDs are used. Hypermesh and the pattern is mainly pre and post processor. These both things are used for meshing and as well as the analysis purpose, but mainly Nastran is used for the analysis purpose. So that was about the design principles and processes related to propulsion system and different industry standards. Thank you.